Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Chris Williams, and I am so excited to share with you one of my really great friends, as well as my coach, Sara Connell. She is such an amazing leader, as well as empowering women to really own their voice and share their stories. And I'm so excited to have you here today, Sara. Thank you so much for being so generous.
I'm so excited to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yay. So we are back here with building a thriving wellness practice, and we're really talking with empowered leaders, women who have built amazing businesses and have done it in a way that feels really good and really aligned with them. So really high impact, creating relationships, creating connections, getting out of this kind of masculine force and push and hustle, and really into, how do we do that in a way that really lights us up, feels really aligned, and allows us to really speak from our soul. Amen, right?
Amen.
We get to do this differently. And so we've been talking with a lot of amazing women in the different pillars of align, design, attract, nurture, invite, empower. We're now in the empower module, the pillar. And Sara, I just want to share you and your zone of genius and the way that the importance that you all encourage us as women to share our voices, especially those of us who feel called to start a movement or just to create impact in the world.
Yeah. And Chris, this conversation is so important to me because for many years, and I now know I'm not alone because I've been coaching on this for 20 years, that so much of the time women get an impulse. They get the spark, the big magic, comes knocking. And whether that's to birth a business, write a book, get on a stage, share a message in some powerful way. And then immediately almost the voice says, who are you to do that? Who are you to be on that stage or start that business or write that book? And there is an almost automatic dismissal of our worth, our value, our talent, our contribution. And there have been studies, the Atlantic Monthly published a very famous study on the confidence gap where women underestimate their worth, value, and performance by about 25%, and men overestimate by about 30%. And it's not always, women, men or anything, but I think what that speaks to is something I definitely felt in my life. And there were dreams that I had, and then I would talk myself out of them. And so I really have made it my mission and a vow to make sure that every woman, whether it's a book in them, a vision in them, a talk they need to give, whatever that thing is that that it's in you. We all know, we all know that thing. And that to make sure that we walk through those false limiting ideas. And then we get that message in the world because about 18 years ago, a book saved my life. And the woman wasn't Brene Brown and Liz Gilbert. And even though I love all those people, I read all their books, it was just a woman who wrote her story. She just wrote her story about trauma she'd experienced and an eating disorder she developed and how she got out of it. And it saved my life because that's where I was at the time.
Amazing. And if she had not done that,
right? I don't know I don't know if I'd be here. I truly do not say it figuratively and metaphorically. I say like that book saved my life. And I went and got help the next day for the eating disorder and all kinds of other things that unfolded and everything I can trace back to that moment. And this is a woman who could have easily talked herself out of it. Oh, I'm just a woman. I'm too old. I'm whatever. I'm not famous. Who wants to hear my story? Oh, there's plenty of books about trauma and eating disorders. Why does this one matter? I don't know if I would have gotten the message from anyone else's book.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for speaking into that, because I think that this is something that we all share, no matter where we are in our business, no matter if we're just starting out, we're at 6 figures, multi-6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. Like we all have that gremlin that says, you're not enough. You don't know enough. Who are you? Fill in the blank of, this isn't the right time. I should really wait. I should learn more. I should, whatever it is. And I know you see it with your clients. I see it with my clients. I can totally even see it with myself too. When I want to, create something, it's like, I don't know. And yet it's so powerful when we just say yes and move through it, because not only are we saying yes to a new version of us, but we're saying yes to impact others in a way that truly only we can.
100%. And I really believe, because I've gotten the privilege of doing this work for some time now, that anyone who has that thing, again, that calling, whether it's the business, the book, the talk, whatever the thing is, it is not random.
Mhm.
that the people who need your message have sourced that calling in you. I really do believe there's a call and response now, because I've seen the letters. I've seen letters from my books. I've seen letters from my clients' books. I've wept and sobbed at people who almost didn't do it because they said I wasn't good in English, or my teacher didn't like my writing, or I'm too old, or I didn't, and they almost didn't put their message or their business or whatever it is in the world. And like that, it's a very it's the Christmas movie, the Wonderful Life idea of like, if you don't show up and do everything you came here to do, like that is not just affecting ourselves, that is a ripple effect where a lot of people don't get their amazing miracle. Like you're the miracle. All of you listening to this are someone's miracle. And whatever that impulse in you, you are worthy and you are capable. And in fact, it's needed. It's not just like, oh, for kicks, so I can bucket list this. It's like, no, like that's a needed thing. We're in a holistic system here. We're in the one field here, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's not random that you're called to start that business or write that book or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, so good. And you shared something, and this has really stuck with me. And that is, and it's because I see this a lot, we're health coaches, life coaches, holistic coaches, like what makes me really different, what makes me stand out. I mean, even as I'm coaching my clients to like tune into what their own unique zone of genius is, it's like, I don't know. But yet we all have a way of sharing information, even if it's information that's been out there before. And I would love for you to talk about the example that you use with Course in Miracles, because it's so good.
It was a real revelation. So one day I had that moment that everyone I've coached has had. Now I know it's just a rite of passage. So if you're having this right now, welcome to the club. You're in, and you basically say, where would there need to be another fill in the blank, whatever your dream is, business coach, relationship person, author. And, I don't have something brand new to say. And what came to me was I had this moment where I realized that there's this original text called Course in Miracles that some people have read. I don't even love the course. I mean, I love what it's about, but I don't find it like an easy text. It's very sort of,
it's not an easy read.
I don't think it's an easy read. And Marianne Williamson comes along I feel like the 90s, maybe. I'd have to look at the date of publication. And she wrote a book called Return to Love. She was fully transparent. She said, this whole book is just my experience of doing A Course in Miracles. It's completely changed my life. And I'm just going to tell you about it. She didn't pretend to do something new. She didn't even try to call it something different. She 100% just said, I'm just going to write about my experience with this. And that book became a mega New York Times bestseller. It made her a household name amongst many people in the personal growth and spirituality space. So you would think that's enough. She did absolutely nothing new. She just gave her take on this text. Well, guess what? A lot of people never would have engaged with the Course in Miracles and got the gift of it because they loved Marianne Williamson's lens through which she looked at that text and that work. Then you'd think that was enough of a miracle. But a few years later, Gabby Bernstein comes along and writes May Cause Miracles. Guess what that book is? It is a retelling of the Course in Miracles that she just wanted to slap on the page. She didn't even mind that Marianne Williamson had done. You would have, if I was even a publisher, I might have been like, and now I never do that, because guess what? I love, of all of them, Gabby Bernstein's the best. She's the one that I liked the most. Other people have their own opinions. The point being, it totally smashed that gremlin in me. And I hold that for all my clients, because first of all, there's two reasons. One, no one can say it like you can.
Yeah.
No one can articulate your business, your course, your book, your talk like you can. It's impossible to do. And the second thing is, when we are involved in evolution, personal growth, development, healing, we do not get everything we need from reading something one time.
Yep.
Or taking one course, or even working with one coach. I will always have, I hope to God, to always have a coach, always be working with healer. I have a well-resourced team of amazing people I get to work with, because I want to continue to be on my edge, and to be the biggest vessel I can be for my mission. So there is no problem with you writing something that's even the same exact topic. I mean, they took the same freaking book and just talked about their experience with it. That seems like the most ludicrous idea. Mega New York Times bestsellers.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And this is so important, because this idea of unworthiness is so, like, that's what keeps women from stepping into their own power, whether it's personal power or financial power, and gosh, if we can get more women to just see how incredibly valuable they are in their own and whatever is put on their heart, I mean, holy cow. And you support women in multiple ways, not just in books. We
For
share a
sure.
little bit, more
Well,
about.
of course, because we're really about leading a movement, and that's the calling I have. It's like there is, and whether that's a movement of a handful of people in your community or a movement of millions of people around the world, there's not one that's better than the other. We're each here, I believe, to create movement, and it
Mhm.
starts with movement in ourselves, from unworthiness to worthiness. We authorize ourselves. It is such a sick gaslighting experience that we've had as a gender,
Yep.
of being told that and I'm so on fire to like eradicate this from the planet, because I've seen myself do it over and over and over. I get a certain place and they go, I'm not worthy. Get a
Yep.
certain, it's like, according to whom, right? It's a completely insane, and yet it's a spell. It's a Kool-Aid that I drank, and many of us have drunk because of systemic systems that told us we're not, right? Childhood experiences, whatever, religion, society, and it's time for it to go. You can see the patriarchy kind of systems crumbling, racism, I don't know how soon they'll all dismantle, but they're going, and it's great that they're going. And we get to make a choice to just pretend we're worthy. A lot of days I just have to fake it.
Mhm.
And I just say, if I thought I was worthy, what would I do? So in our work, yes, we definitely help women write best-selling books, because again, because that book did save my life, I'm on a mission to have people get their books to the people that need them. But then it's like, what podcasts do you need to be on? Where are the people you're here to serve? Hanging out, seeking answers,
Mhm.
offering their petitions of, please, I need help, universe, give me a sign. Podcasts, virtual stages, TEDx, and then like, how do you find your people and build an audience?
Mhm.
So many people are the best kept secret, and we don't want that. None of you listening should be a secret to anyone. You need to be out doing your work, and you're doing holistic work. You're helping people, doing body work, you're doing mindset work. It's the most crucial work that we can do, holistic work. And then finally, monetizing, because I believe, and this is, the new book that we have coming out, like I am just so taking a stand for women being prosperous, artists being prosperous, healers, the starving artist, the starving healer. That model is toxic and outdated.
Yep.
Does
Absolutely.
not serve us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is something that we bump in all the time. And I don't know whether it's a cultural entrainment or what, but I just read a statistic yesterday that said that 88% of women entrepreneurs, women-owned businesses, actually make $100,000 or less. I
Yes.
was just like, my jaw dropped when I heard that. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yes.
Crazy. We need to change that. Like, we should all be making six figures if that's what we desire.
Exactly. And whatever that limit, because I kept thinking, again, I'm not worthy of making six figures. I couldn't make more than $20,000, $30,000 a year as a coach for years and years. And I was doing sacred, life-changing work. Like every one of you who are in this community listening to this, I know this is true about you. You wouldn't even be here if this wasn't true. You are doing your purpose. You are doing the work, and you deserve to prosper in that. It actually gives other people permission to prosper. It is actually enabling for us to undercharge and under-earn. It's
Mhm.
actually a disease. It's a cultural disease. And the only way we rise, I mean, women freelancers make 28% less than equally talented male peers. This is an industry where women set their own rates. It's not a corporate structure. It's like we're saying, and yet we are still ingrained in unworthiness and not letting ourselves. And yes, there's cultural biases and total crap that goes on with people,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of hiring. But like it's that whole can't wait for the world to change. We get to stand for our own prosperity
Mhm.
and say, I will raise my rates, I will charge what I'm worth, and not feel guilty and not feel unworthy and not like think the sky's going to fall and we're going to be struck down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There is something that happens, I think, especially in this industry of coaching and wellness, where somehow if we're really spiritual, we shouldn't be
Yeah.
charging. Or if we're
Right.
really spiritual, we should undercharge and make sure that it's,
Yeah.
like, let me just give it all away because that is what is on my heart to do. And I'm not saying that it's bad to ever be generous, or I totally believe in service first. And
Yes.
if you do not allow yourself to receive and to
Yeah.
be richly rewarded and allow yourself to be well paid for sharing your gifts with others, the impact that you are able to make in the world is actually decreasing.
It's compromised. And that's the issue. Do we want to continue what's going on? Is this working for Dr. Phil? How's that working for us? It's not, right? It's not. And Chris, I love what you're presencing. And I didn't know that statistic about the 88% under 100,000. I mean, it's horrifying. It's horrifying because there is money is energy, right? It's not more or less than that, but it is energy that can vote, that can create change, that can contribute. And if we I disempowered myself in my marriage for a long time, financially and personally. And I don't thankfully do that anymore because I've done a lot of work. I took this on as a spiritual, passage. And that idea, I do give away so much stuff for free. I give away 3-day retreats that I pay like tens of thousands of dollars to put on, and I give it away for free. I give tithe, I do all kinds of stuff. And I also just bought a house that's over $1 million. I made over $1 million in sales last year for the first time. Like, I also live a richly, wildly abundant life that I'm going to continue to grow and expand so that I can contribute to this world the way I want to and have freedom.
Yep, absolutely. And we get to do that. It doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't
Either or. In fact, I'm going to challenge us all. This is what, is really what I keep saying to myself is it's not only not wrong to accept money for our gifts and talents, but that it's wrong not to. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just say that, because what message are we sending then? That healers don't deserve to be paid? Well, you're not doing it just for yourself. It's for all of us.
Yes.
If we perpetuate that under-earning, undervaluing process, we're actually limiting our brothers and sisters. It's not just so I kind of have to I had this moment where I was like, I'm good. I have a home, I was, because I didn't want to do the work. Honestly, I'm sure that's what it was. I didn't want to do the inner work that I would need to do to liberate myself from all the poverty consciousness in my family. But I was like, I'm good. I have food. Why should I be greedy? I don't need to be in some American consumeristic model. And it was like a sledgehammer sort of spiritually came down. And it was like, I'm not asking you to do it for the money. I'm asking you to do it for the liberation. And I just was like, oh, because it was like, you can't help anyone else do this if you stay in this poverty mentality.
Yes. Yes. We can only take our clients as far as we're willing to go. Right. Yes. I mean, there's so many times where I bumped up against things and I've moved through it, and I've seen later, I'm like, oh, wow, I just got to source that for the rest of my community. You're welcome. Right.
You're welcome. Here you go. Yeah.
Yes. And when we allow ourselves to be well paid, and when we allow ourselves to own our value and worthiness, even if we don't feel like it 100% of the time, which I don't think any of us always feel that, but we get to model what it gets to be like. We get to create the ripple effects that even if, somebody else is like, oh, well, I could do that. Yes. 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 You absolutely can.
100%. And Rachel Rogers' book last year, I love We Should All Be Millionaires, was a rallying cry to women. And she said, wealth is a form of protest. If you make it a protest then, because I was like, I don't want to be in a more, I don't want to do it from ego. I really wrestled. I think a lot of us spiritual people wrestle. It's like, am I being capitalistic and greedy? And then it was just like, no, this is about liberation.
Yes.
This is not even yet. The money's great. Believe me, I'm very excited about my new house. Super excited. But that is a result of the liberation work.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So when we claim our worthiness, when we own our value, when we allow our voice to be heard, the money becomes a side effect. Yeah.
And Chris, remember, you and I, we were speaking previously about this, that I just found out the statistic that inspired my new book of, that women lost $800 billion to the pandemic. I mean, I was like, oh, that must be a typo. It must be million, even though that was horrific. Yeah. No, it's billion, billion. And so even if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, it's like that's not okay. We're going to make that up and then some. Mm-hmm. So it's like, there is a moment happening.
Yeah,
where we
absolutely. And it's so, we could talk about this for hours. I'm so excited about this because when you shared that statistic with me, I was like, wait, what? Yeah. That's insane. And I did some research on it yesterday. That's actually where I found out that 80% of women owned businesses. I was like, no, that can't be right. And I dug more, and it was like that took our gender back generations.
Yes. I just got
generations.
Oh, yes. And Chris, what I love is that this is a principle I live by, that a setback is the setup.
Ooh, yep.
And so this setback of that $800 billion is the arrow being pulled back and like Artemis, like we're gonna fly. Like this is the time. And we need any other sign?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Sarah, this is just like, I'm on fire. I'm getting like, so I hope that people are really hearing this and taking this on and saying, yes, me too. Because every single person who's listening to this has something powerful and important to say. You wouldn't be here listening to it if you didn't. Like God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, would not be directing you to hear this message if you did not have something powerful to say yourself.
100%.
You are so incredibly generous with what you're giving our community. Would you share a little bit about that?
Yes. So, like I said, after the book that saved my life, I was like, everybody who has that book in them, and if you're listening, if it's you, I want to make sure that that comes into the world and gets into the hand of the me 18 years ago that needed that. So, we have a whole program that helps you write how to write a book in 12 weeks that changes lives, that helps you start a movement. And so we're going to gift that to everyone in the community, because it's crucially important to me that if and you've been like, I know I have this book, if it's a new idea, or you've known forever, that this is your year. This is your year. And what's so beautiful, if you're watching this live when it's coming out, you can have it done this year.
Amazing.
You have a book in your hand.
Y'all, you have to grab this. Like, this is part of Sarah's paid program that she's giving.
People have paid, when we first ran this, people paid $10,000 to like do these modules and then have me, sort of guide through the group. They paid a lot of money, but it's just important to me that you all get this. So yes.
Gosh, so incredibly generous. So thank you so incredibly much. Sarah, it's been so great to have you on here sharing your zone. I always get so inspired when I hear you and when I hear what you share. So I just want to thank you for being you and for saying yes, even though, again, we all have those things. I work with Sarah as well. She's helping me write a book. And just the other day in our one-on-one, I'm like, who am I to write the thing? Who am I to say the thing? And so of course, we all have this. Just, it doesn't mean there's anything going wrong. It just means that we actually have something powerful to say.
100%. In fact, if we just, as a little PS to this, take that as the affirmation. When that voice is like, who do you think you are? And you can't say, oh my gosh, that's my affirmation. I'm going to go punch a hole through my destiny. Yeah. So yes. So excited for everybody.
Thank you, Sarah. Everybody, thank you so much for being here today, for hearing this message. Go grab How to Create a Book in 12 Weeks. It's truly amazing. I've watched it all. It is phenomenal. And then join me back here again tomorrow. We've got lots of goodies to share with you. And I'm so darn excited to be able to share how to create a thriving wellness practice with high touch, high impact, and also it's truly one of the best ways that we get to do this in the world, in a way that lights us up and allows us to, step out of this patriarchy that is just like, so force, go, do, make. And we get to do this. We get to have the blend of both structure, practical insights and how-tos, as well as allowing this to be all soul as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining me here today. Thank you, Sarah.